Okay. I'm gonna do this commentary over Grand Theft Auto, and I'm doing it for a reason. Now I've already done a video, and I'm gonna do more later about the idiocy of people blaming video games for violence, but I'm gonna do another one on that later. Right now, I want to talk about gun control. Now, I'm live streaming this because I don't know how long this will be, and so we're going to. I just want to discuss a few things. And by the way, I don't normally excuse me. I don't normally write scripts because, you know, I like to talk off the top of my head. So, and I'll try to do this without using foul language, even though, you know, YouTube will not let. YouTube won't put this in anywhere anyway. They'll try to ban it later. Who knows? But anyways, we have every time a mass shooting happens, we have people getting overly, really emotional and screaming for gun control. Now look, I understand the emotion, and I don't believe
when we beat them on music, atmosphere, and general insanity. Take out those idiot supply trucks and let's see if our customers don't come back here.
But I don't, and I believe there's a time for emotion and there's a time for logic. And of course it's a real tragedy when these shootings happen. No one is saying it isn't. No one is saying we want it to happen. But for some reason, that's just some of you think. I know a lot of people got angry at Dana Lash when she said that the media loves mass shootings, and to some extent I agree with Dana Lash on that, because it's just ratings go for them, like she said, and it helps them push their gun control narrative further. And I don't think they love the death and all, but I think they really concentrate on the ones who do want gun control afterward. I noticed some of the Parkland victims who are now asking for armed guards in our schools. They don't talk to them on CNN. They don't talk to them on MSNBC or anything else. Only Fox News has ever talked to them. Which I'm not saying Fox News is perfect, but they're better than the others. All the news channels can have a little BS in it, or all of it BS. But I think CNN's part of the establishment, and they're doing what they can to take these guns, because, you know, when the citizens are armed, the government's afraid of them. It keeps the government in check. I mean, you know, David Hogg got up on that podium or whatever and said that the government was afraid to take away our guns, and I thought, why would they be afraid of that? Because, you know, that's the only thing keeping them from going tyrannical. Why would they be afraid of that, really? But, you know, for some reason, everywhere David Hogg went for a long time, he would somehow find TV cameras. His face would just be plastered all over all the main channels. But, and it's not that I don't care about what he and his friends went through, but they need to be in a therapy session dealing with their trauma, not out screaming for gun control. And they appeared on the Dr. Phil show. Now, whether or not you like Dr. Phil, I don't care. We're not going to get into that. I know some people like him, some people don't. And he told David Hogg, you can forget about repealing the Second Amendment. That's just not going to happen. Which I sincerely hope he's right on that. And by the way, I do not blame Dr. Phil for making the Catch Me Outside girl famous. You're the ones who made the memes and the videos, and the public makes people famous. You know, Dr. Phil's been on for, what's it now, 16 years? How come all those people aren't famous? Just that a few of them. No, you all made them famous, not him. But anyways, that's a bit off the point. And anyways, like I said, I hope he's right on that. I don't want to see that repealed. And even if we did repeal it, it wouldn't stop the carnage. It wouldn't stop the crimes. I mean, people, what makes you think that if we ban guns, all of a sudden everything's going to be nice and sweet and we're all going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya? What makes you think that's going to happen? Like, all the criminals are going to go, well, geez, they banned the guns. I better go take my gun to the police station and give it to them. Here you go, Mr. Policeman, you can have it now, melt it down and make it a license plate. That's not going to happen, people. Only the law-abiding citizens will be affected. That's the only people who will be affected. And the fact is that, you know, some of you have heard Kamala Harris pull this BS statistic out of her ass. Excuse my language, I'm trying not to use foul language. She's been telling people that 90% of gun crimes, or guns used in crime, are purchased at 5% of the gun dealers. First of all, anyone who believes this, you don't have two brain cells up there to rub together. And they're not together if you really believe this. I mean, that's not even mathematically possible. It's not even mathematically possible. Evidently she was worse at math than I was, and I was not good at math. I had a lot of trouble at math growing up. And even I'm better than she is, evidently. But, anyways, the fact is only 8% of guns used in crime are purchased legally at gun stores. 0.7% are purchased at gun shows. I mean, this so-called gun show loophole, it's not real, people. If you don't believe me, go to a gun show yourself. Go to a gun show and just try to buy a gun, see what happens. Fairly recently, this story went out that this moronic idiot, he was in a Walmart and he saw this white guy buying a gun, and he said he looked like a white nationalist. First of all, what does a white nationalist look like? Oh my God, what does a white nationalist look like? This guy was white too. But anyways, he said, I saw this guy who looked like a white nationalist buying a gun. So what did he do? This idiot went up to the Walmart clerk and said, I'd like to have a gun that can kill 200 people. Of course they called the police. Are you stupid? Well, of course, he's a liberal. He is stupid. But, I heard the story. I mean, half of me laughed. Yes, I laughed my butt off. I mean, what does a white nationalist look like? But the other thing is, not only did I find it funny, I also found it dangerous, because, you know, sooner or later, this is going to get dangerous. You know, people saying Trump needs to tone down his rhetoric, but it's really you liberals who are doing it. You know, you got Maxine Waters screaming, you go and make it sure they know they're not welcome and kick them out of your restaurant or whatever. You don't think that's dangerous? You got people, now they're throwing milkshakes at people. I mean, like a 3-year-old at McDonald's throwing a temper tantrum. You've got, I mean, today it's milkshakes, but next it could be bricks. They could put something in the milkshake, like pieces of cement. And for some reason, you're saying this is Trump's fault? I mean, I don't see the dictatorship in him. Like, I don't like that he's blaming these video games for violence. I absolutely, adamantly disagree with him for that. And, you know, for me, I know I said it in my video yesterday, for me, these types of games have been pretty much therapeutic. All the bullying and pushing around I took in school, I get here and I get to do the bullying and the pushing around, whether it's other players or these fake computer characters. Although, normally I don't like pushing around the other players. I like helping them. I really do. On all these online games, whether it's this or Red Dead Redemption or, you know, whatever, I like to help new players. So anybody who's new to the game and wants some help, I'm more than happy to help you. But I think that people need to really stop and use logic before we start screaming for new laws and such, because some laws that have been passed were passed out of emotion. You know, Georgia actually once had a law. It was illegal to use foul language in front of women and children. Now, the law has since been repealed, but evidently some woman got upset. Oh, he said a bad word. And so they passed this law. I think it was from like the mid-1800s, like before the Civil War. But, you know, I don't know what caused it, but I think some emotional woman caused this law. Just like in Paris now, or in France rather, it is illegal to catcall a wolf whistle because some damn woman, some feminist who didn't like being catcalled, threw something and hit somebody, the wrong person, when some guy wolf whistled or catcalled at her. Look, if you don't like catcalling, just keep walking. You don't have to get violent. And they say Trump's the one getting violent. Good God. We're the ones who want to end the violence. The Democrats claim to, but this is all just publicity for them. Votes. And, you know, it doesn't matter whether or not you're a member of any gun group like the NRA, the GOA, excuse me. For those of you who don't know, that's Gun Owners of America. I mean, I know the NRA gets the most attention, but there are several gun advocacy groups, and the NRA is not the only one. But anyways, even those who hate the NRA should see that this is not their fault. The law-abiding citizens are not the ones out there shooting people, because it's against the law to shoot people except in self-defense. You know, and the thing is, a lot of people think that people like me, we're just itching to shoot somebody. We're hoping to be able to shoot somebody. We sit there and daydream about about being a hero and saving somebody from a criminal. And no, you know, we really don't want this. All we want is to be able to protect ourselves. That's not really asking for much. And people say things like, well, you can call the police. Yeah, that's true, but it takes them minutes to get there. Some years ago, I remember seeing a story about a woman who was being harassed by an ex, and she's at home with her 2 children, who I think were like 12 and 9 at the time. And they lived out in the middle of nowhere. They were like way out in a very rural area. And this ex-boyfriend came, and the little girl did call 911, and I still remember hearing the 911 call on TV. They played her call. And this poor kid, it just makes you feel so horrible for her, but it took the first police officer 14 minutes to get to the house. And by the time he got there, the woman had been stabbed something like 60 times. Now, amazingly, she survived. She has serious medical problems since because of it, some pain that still persists, and difficulty breathing. Someone says she sometimes coughs like she's got tuberculosis. But, you know, she's alive, and she's been able to watch her kids grow up. But if she'd had a gun, she could have blasted his ass away before this happened. She wouldn't be suffering. And these poor kids wouldn't have had to witness their mother be slashed up like some kind of slasher movie. I mean, from what they said, her injuries look like something you would see in like a Saw movie. And yes, I've seen 3 of the Saw movies, so I do know how gruesome they are. But, you know, this is why we fight so hard to keep guns. It's not about hunting. There are people who hunt without guns. Some people like to bow hunt. And how do you think people hunted before there were guns? You think hunting started when the gun was invented? If you do, you're a stupid idiot. The Romans, for example, were just big, die-hard meat eaters. They didn't have guns. They didn't have guns. How do you think the Romans hunted? Because they sure weren't shooting these animals, except with bow and arrows. But they, I want to know where these gun control idiots get some of these things. Like, we have to ban fully semi-automatics. There's no such thing. Let me explain to you people something. A fully automatic is already banned. It is exceedingly difficult to get one of these, even if you're a rich celebrity, which they could probably get it easier because they've got the money. But even they would have to go through all kinds of background checks, much more than just to buy a pistol. Secondly, an AR-15 is not a fully automatic. This is a semi-automatic. That means one trigger pull, one shot. For some of you who've seen the Fast and Furious films, see the one where they introduce Jason Statham, you see him come out of an elevator with a fully automatic, and you'll watch as long as he's holding the trigger, it shoots. Now, this scene takes place in Dubai, so I don't know what Dubai's laws are as far as gun control, but here, if that were real, he would have extreme difficulty getting that gun. And he likely wouldn't even get it, even though he is a famous celebrity. But, and we do have literally thousands of gun laws already on the books. And the gun laws we have are not obeyed by criminals. And that's what I wish people would get. Criminals don't obey the law. But for some reason people think if we ban those guns, all this bad stuff's just going to stop and we're going to live in a land of sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns. Yeah, I said unicorns, and the reason I said that, think about it, unicorns are not real. And that's what you think we're going to live like, something that's not real. But that's not going to happen if we ban anything. I mean, look at the war on drugs. Jesus Christ. Sorry. But look at the war on drugs. The war on drugs has been a failure. It's been a failure. You can still find drugs on just about every street corner. You know, I've never checked because I don't want to, but there's probably drug dealers right here in my neighborhood. I know there was one in my old neighborhood because I remember a big police bust, and later a neighbor told me, oh, there was some drug dealers there, and I was like, wow. I had no idea I lived that close to one. And that's just how it is. You never do. So, the war on drugs has been a failure. Now, I'm not saying let's go make the drugs legal. I'm saying we need to find a better way to fight it. And that's the same thing with gun violence. We need real solutions. And why is it just gun violence that you guys want to talk about? Why isn't it all violence? I mean, I really don't get it. But for some reason, y'all just have this strange belief that if we ban guns, it's just all gonna stop. All this stuff's just gonna stop. And I'm just still trying to figure out why y'all think that. I'm trying to figure out why y'all think that. I don't know. I think liberals are living in a dream world. They're living in fantasy land. Even more fantasy than if unicorns really did exist. Well, more fantasy than a unicorn. Let's put it that way. As I said before, I don't write scripts, but I just think that the world the liberals are looking for is never going to exist. There'll always be bad people. And blaming the gun. I mean, I don't even hear anybody talking about, like Nicholas Cruz, for example. I've heard one person say something about him. One person who actually, I was playing Red Dead Redemption online, and this person, she said to me, you know, for people like Nicholas Cruz, we should bring back public hangings. Other than that, no one else talks about him. It's all the gun, the gun, the gun, the gun. Well, why not the guy who pulled the trigger? Why are you not angry at him? No one's angry at him, they're angry at a machine. I mean, the Nice France truck attack killed 80 people. No mass shooting has ever killed that many. It just...
Boss,
it doesn't make any sense, really. You're angry at the object and not the person. It's like you just want to let the person just walk away free, and let's put the gun in jail. So, I think that this Looney Tune world the liberals want, you know, maybe they should go start their own country on some island or something. You know, they can ban anything they want, but trying to ban things, that's just not freedom. You know, they want to make things mandatory. They're all about keeping people safe, and I believe your safety is in your own hands. You know, for example, I like to ride horses, and there's a guy I like to watch here on YouTube. He's real good about horses and other things. The only thing he's an idiot at, and I'm sorry about this, is religion, because he knows nothing about it. He thinks Christians and Catholics are right together on everything. Baptists and Catholics. What? Jesus Christ, stop it! Sorry about that. Which Baptist and Catholic are, they couldn't be more different than a fish and a horse. I mean, they're just so exceedingly different. We believe in the same God, we believe in the same Jesus Christ. That's pretty much as far as it goes.
Good to see you, boss.
So,
Hello. So long.
we have what we really have is not a gun problem, it's a people problem. And all the gun laws or other laws just aren't going to work. We need to be keeping people safe. And people, by that I mean, you need to keep yourself safe. But the liberals are all like, give all your guns to the government. The government will keep you safe. They can't even keep themselves safe. We got people shooting cops. We got the idiot who shot up these senators at the baseball game. They can't even keep themselves safe. Your safety's in your hands. But as I was saying before about the horses, I get tired of people telling me to wear a helmet when I ride a horse. I don't want to wear a helmet when I ride a horse. I don't want to. Instead, I'm safe because I understand horses, and I still learn more from this guy every day. Understand horsey body language. I understand like what to do if my horse spooks. No, he's frightened. You know, I don't need a helmet. I mean, if you want to wear a helmet, you go ahead. You want to wear a helmet, like I said, you go ahead. I won't stop you, but don't make it mandatory. That's just not freedom. That's not freedom. You know, freedom is supposed to be about doing what you choose. And yes, I understand there are laws. I'm not saying let's get rid of all laws. But some laws are just plain ridiculous. And, you know, there was actually a law once, I think it was in Florida, that it was illegal to tie an alligator to a fire hydrant. Who's doing this? I mean, I read that a few years ago and I just laughed so hard. And I will admit, I'm terrified of alligators and crocodiles. Even Steve Irwin couldn't cure that fear. I just can't figure out why such a law would exist. But you got people wanting to make laws, make it illegal to catcall, wolf whistle. You know, if you don't want to be catcalled at, just keep walking and ignore it. Look, I got bullied in school. I learned to ignore it. It's like, you know, I was talking about this guy about religion a minute ago. Most times I ignore it because I'm used to it. A lot of people who don't like religion, they don't understand it. I mean, recently this guy was raving about the Pope giving money to these illegal caravans, and he just starts screaming and ranting and raving about Christians. Well, this is not a Christian thing. This particular pope, from what I've seen, he seems to be more political than religious. And the vast majority of Christians are actually conservatives and believe in freedom and believe in laws and believe there should be certain things to maintain order. It doesn't mean we want the government taken over, no. But we just have to maintain some sense of order, and that's just certain things you do and don't do. But you have the Pope doing this, and it makes the conservative Christians look bad. Yes, there are liberal Christians. Yes, there are libertarian Christians. There are centrist Christians. But the vast majority of Christians are actually conservatives. We don't approve of illegal immigration and a lot of other things that the liberals like. So don't put this on all Christians. And me, I'm Baptist. I don't even know the Pope's name 99% of the time. I don't care. He's nothing to me. I mean, it doesn't mean I want him hurt. So don't go thinking I want someone to hurt him. I don't want that. That's just not the kind of person I am. I don't like to see people get hurt. So don't go thinking I want something to happen to them. But anyways, I think that people should educate themselves on things they talk about, which is a big problem with the gun problem. People who don't know anything about guns they go screaming about things like chainsaw bayonets, which do not exist. Then they talk about things like bump stocks, and they don't even know what a bump stock is. They say silencer instead of suppressor, because they see these things in the movies and think that they really are that perfectly quiet. Which really, that's the thing that makes me laugh the most. They're called suppressors. Only in the movies do they say silencer, and they're not this quiet. They don't go pew like you hear in John Wick. And don't get me wrong, I love John Wick. I love it. I'm a big fan of Keanu Reeves, and fortunately he's kind of kept his mouth shut on politics. Good job, Keanu. Keep that up. But some celebrities keep their mouth shut on politics, and that's a good thing. I'm not saying they don't have the right to state their opinion, because they do. But I just don't like that they're using their fame to shove it down my throat. That's my problem with it. Not that they're giving their opinions. They can do that. They have that right. And I'm not going to be one of the conservatives who tells celebrities to shut up. They want to open their mouth. They have the right. And sorry about the noise in the background. I got something going on. So, this video's gone on a little too long. I mean, it's a live stream, but it'll be available later. I just want people to use logic and not emotion. That's all I want. Use logic. Put your emotion aside for a minute. Wait until the emotion dies down. I mean, none of this has to do with video games or alleged easy access to a gun, because it's not that easy. People think that you can just walk into a gun store and throw money on the counter and say, "I'd like that gun there. Oh, thank you," and walk out with a fully assembled, ready-to-use gun. The fact is, most types of guns, you don't even get them assembled. You have to take it home and put it together. Like buying your daughter a dollhouse. Some of you who have daughters, you might have bought her a Barbie doll dream house, and you have to take it home and put it together, right? Which is aggravating, I know. I mean, I don't have a daughter, but I do have nieces. And yes, they play with dollhouses. But it's just really hilarious that people think you can just walk out with the ready-to-use gun like you can on these video games. Yes, on this game, I can walk out of the gun store on this game with the gun in my hand, ready to start shooting. Well, that's not how it works in real life. And that's the main thing I want is you idiots to quit using movies and television like they're documentaries. Okay, they're not documentaries. And just so you know, I'm not trying to ban anything. But me, I really do like revolvers much better than semi-autos. I love these Wild West guns. And secondly, I personally don't like to shoot shotguns because I just hate that recoil. They have a strong, harsh recoil. And the first time I shot one, I actually cracked my collarbone. I was not prepared. But my point about this, saying this, is that just because I prefer certain things doesn't mean I want to take it away from others. Like, I don't like to use shotguns, but I don't want to ban them. Other people who like them, they should be able to have them. Now, I do use them on video games, but in real life I won't touch them because that recoil is just way too harsh. And this is one reason, actually, that a lot of women like the AR-15. It has a much gentler recoil. It doesn't jump back that as far as a shotgun and crack your collarbone. So, there you go, that cop had a shotgun. Which, I don't know if cops actually use shotguns. Anyone out there who's a cop, let me know that. Do y'all actually use shotguns? And in real life, I respect the law. See, that's the thing about these games. They're fantasy. It's just like being an actor in a movie. I mean, no one really thinks Keanu Reeves is a deranged hitman. Of course, you do have idiots who think John Wayne is a real cowboy based on movies, which is just dumber than dumb. But then you say, Johnny Depp's not really a pirate, which, yes, is true, he's not. And no, I don't like Johnny Depp, so don't go thinking I'm defending him in any way. So, long story short, get your information from information sources, not movies, not video games like this, and differentiate the difference between fantasy and reality. This video game is fantasy. This is a computer character that I control through this item in my hands. When I turn this game off, this character will cease to exist. So, you know, I'm so tired of people getting their so-called information from movies, and people always talk about, oh, CSI is so realistic, but although CSI was good, I enjoyed the CSIs. You know, I know people who are actually cops and other such law enforcement, and let me tell you, a lot of them would tell me they're not really that realistic. For example, in CSI, they would solve the murder in one day. You know how seldom that happens? If ever. And then on the show, they almost always got a confession. That rarely happens. The autopsy would be done in just a couple of hours. And we know that doesn't happen. I mean, remember how long it took to get Michael Jackson's autopsy report? I mean, it took, what, about 3 months, I think it was? I mean, I don't really remember because it's been a while, and yeah, I was some bit of a Michael Jackson fan, but I grew up mostly on country music. But long story short, you know, you got to differentiate emotion from logic and fantasy from reality, and that's something that people just aren't willing to do anymore. They want to blend it all in together and then pass stupid laws, useless laws, things that just aren't going to happen. So, I'm going to end this here, and I hope you got something out of it. Feel free to leave a comment, but please try to keep it civil. Yes, I can have a discussion with people I disagree with. Just keep it nice. Well, you don't have to be nice, just don't start screaming and crying and typing in all caps and stuff like that. And by the way, you notice how I'm wiping people with a baseball bat? We got to ban the baseball bats. People kill with baseball bats. Actually, more people kill with bats than with guns. More people drown. 10 times more people drown than are killed by AR-15. So we got to ban those backyard swimming pools. Which, my folks have one. So I guess they'll have to turn into a garden or something. So y'all have a good one. And to the people who own guns, good job. Don't let the government take them away. And the people that don't, well, it's your choice, but don't try to take them away from us. Y'all take care of yourselves.